When a hijab sparks suspicion and a beard invites a stare, we've lost something deeper than tolerance. We've wounded the soul of justice. Islamophobia is not just fear. It's a story of broken trust, burnt bridges, and blind hatred written across centuries. Timeless America. Welcome back to Timeless America, where we don't just explore history, we walk through the corridors of culture, conflict, and change. Today's story is not locked in the past. It's alive, it's raw, and it's still writing itself. We're diving deep into a subject that burns at the heart of our modern world, Islamophobia. From medieval wars to modern-day airport checks, from misunderstood prophets to misused politics, this is the painful journey of how fear became a weapon and how the fight to dismantle it is far from over. So buckle in as we unpack the emotional, political, and spiritual war beneath this word, one that shapes millions of lives around the globe. Origins of a fear Islamophobia didn't begin in the 21st century. It goes back nearly 1400 years. When Islam rose in the 7th century, it challenged both empires and traditions. The Roman and Persian empires, religious institutions, and later crusading European powers viewed Islam not only as a new faith, but as a threat. During the Crusades, Muslims were demonized as infidels. European literature painted Muslims as violent, irrational, and inhuman. This wasn't just wartime propaganda. It was the birth of a stereotype. As Europe expanded through colonialism, these views hardened. In schools, books, and art, Muslims were often portrayed as either exotic mystics or savage barbarians. Even before America was born, Islamophobia had already been weaponized. 9/11. A world recast. Then came the day that would change everything. September 11, 2001, the horrific attacks on the World Trade Center killed nearly 3,000 people, but they also unleashed a tidal wave of fear, one that didn't just target terrorists, it targeted an entire religion. Suddenly, Muslim Americans, many of whom had lived peacefully in the U.S. for decades, were treated like suspects. Mosques were vandalized. Women in hijabs were harassed. Men with beards were pulled aside in airports. Media headlines blurred the line between extremism and faith. Words like jihad were twisted into symbols of violence, and the nuanced teachings of a global religion with over 1.9 billion followers were reduced to a headline. Danger, Islamophobia, had found its new battlefield, America, the land of eyes, the free. Hijab, beard, and backlash. To be Muslim in post-9/11 America meant living in hyper-awareness. It meant looking over your shoulder in grocery stores. It meant wondering if your child would be bullied in school. It meant your accent, your prayers, your name. Everything became a target. Muslim women wearing hijab became visible symbols. Many were attacked, verbally abused, or even physically assaulted in broad daylight. Airports became the front line. Random searches were no longer random when your name was Mohammed. A beard was no longer just facial hair. It was a flag, a warning, a trigger. And in politics, things got worse. Islamophobia in power fear sells, and in politics, fear wins, votes. In the 2016 U.S. presidential race, Islamophobia became campaign currency. There were calls for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the U.S. Hate crimes spiked. A mosque was firebombed. Candidates didn't just tolerate Islamophobic rhetoric, they profited from it. And while America prides itself on religious freedom, a climate was created where millions of American citizens were made to feel like strangers in their own land. Even today, laws disguised as security measures disproportionately target Muslims, from travel bans to surveillance programs. The irony? Some of these Muslims were doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs, the very people America was trying to attract through the Gold Card program. How could one hand invite while the other accused? The global mirror Islamophobia isn't just American. It's global. In India, Muslims face mob lynchings, riots, and political marginalization. In China, Uyghur Muslims are detained in re-education camps. In France, laws banning religious symbols target hijabis under the banner of secularism. It's become clear Islamophobia is not rooted in one place. It's rooted in ignorance, and that's everywhere. But ignorance has a cure: truth, resistance, resilience, and real change. Despite it all, Muslims didn't disappear. They stood up. Muslim congresswomen like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib took seats in the U.S. government. Mosques opened their doors to communities, organizing interfaith events, food drives, and relief efforts. Hollywood slowly began casting Muslim characters as heroes instead of terrorists. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram became stages where young Muslims spoke boldly, creatively, and unapologetically, from spoken word poetry to protest. Marches, the message was clear. You will not define us by your fear. The gold card, a new chapter or an old story. In 2025, the U.S. introduced the Gold Card program, a fast-track visa to attract global talent, especially entrepreneurs, scientists, and innovators. Muslim applicants from across the globe applied, hopeful that their skills, not their names, would define them. But the shadow of Islamophobia lingers. For many, the gold card symbolizes a paradox. You want our brains, but do you want our prayers? You value our talent, but do you trust our culture? True inclusion can't be selective. America's strength lies not in melting everyone into sameness, but in making space for difference. What if we listened instead of feared? Imagine a world where a hijab doesn't spark judgment but respect, where the sound of the adhan, call to prayer, is just as American as church bells, where a Muslim child doesn't have to prove their loyalty every time they say their name out loud. Islamophobia thrives on misinformation, media bias, and silence. But the antidote is human connection. When we stop seeing Muslims as them and start listening to their stories as us, the fear loses its grip. Like, subscribe, and stay aware. This is not just the story of Islamophobia. It's the story of resilience, resistance, and the relentless belief that justice is still possible. If you believe that truth is stronger than fear, if you believe that humanity is bigger than headlines, if you believe that history should heal, not harm, then please, like this video, subscribe to Timeless America, and be part of the journey where we challenge the narratives that divide and uplift the stories that unite. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, stay human.